Welcome everybody to our reaction to the IndyCar race at Milwaukee on Sunday. And Susie, we had a Dane in victory lane for the first time in 3 years. So excited for my second favorite country on the planet. On today's podcast, we had Elijah Poe, of course, our IndyCar guy, Dave Chanley, and Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader. She was feeling a little under the weather and was not having a very good connection, so she was only on for the first few minutes, but always enjoy having her on the podcast. Tune in for more IndyCar and all the other sports news from across Central Indiana on Central Indiana Sports Central, Monday morning at 5 a.m.
You are listening to IndyCar Race Reaction. And here's your host, Greg Mingelt.
Welcome, IndyCar fans, to our reaction to the IndyCar race at the Milwaukee Mile. I am here with Elijah Poe, our IndyCar guy, Dave Chanley, and Michelle Garmon, the sports editor of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader, and this is for Thomas. Sayani hus, vi havonil sayani hus. Woo! Elijah, that was one heck of a race.
Yes, it was. We have got a Dane in victory lane with Christian Rasmussen.
We've got a Dane in victory lane, people.
And that was such a good race. And I think right now, more than anything, just how fortunate are we to be IndyCar fans at this period where the sport's at right now, because that was just an incredible race.
So good. They are 16 for 17, Dave, on races this year.
Milwaukee never disappoints. What a great venue. What a great place to race. And Ed Carpenter made every right call today.
Great crowd. You said it never disappoints. Even for Milwaukee, Michelle, this was a really good race.
Oh, it was a really good race. And I will say this, I'm really happy for Ed Carpenter. And it would have felt terrible for him if Rasmussen had wiped out when he went high and almost slammed into the wall, just because doing something he didn't need to do and was being told he didn't need to do.
I don't think I've ever heard no more passing cars at the end of the race. Stop passing cars. It was pretty good, but he was definitely overly aggressive. I actually yelled out loud, "What are you doing?"
I think that main incident that actually drove me up the wall was that he almost came in with Felix Rosenqvist, who was not, he was a back marker, but Felix didn't have pace all day. And that move was just, they showed it on TV and it was probably 2-3 inches, maybe.
Yeah.
And I would expect
unnecessary. He had a straightaway coming. Rosenqvist was going so slow, all he had to do was go to the inside of him and pass him. It was really risky.
But here's the thing. I would expect nothing less from Christian Rasmussen. I really wouldn't.
I agree with you. I think, Elijah, you've got to like that he has no fear of what he's doing on the racetrack. And I think he's got potential to be a great driver. But he's got a lot of maturing to do. And you've got a lot of guys that are on your head of your team and or in your ear. They can make you even better. You need to listen and heed. Learned.
Alex Palou, I had just basically already in my mind, I was ready to talk about his win. I want to go back again to IndyCar and the job it's done making the racing level, the entertainment value so high, and with the different strategies. And that's, again, why it turned out the way it did, was the different strategies and the fresher tires. And what a charge. Rasmussen, not just past Palou, but past McLaughlin and Rossi and O'Ward and his fellow countryman Lundgaard. I texted the group Dane on Dane crime right there. And Joseph Newgarden. And it just was spectacular.
I think it's incredible that IndyCar is a sport where, for a majority of that race, Alex Palou was light years ahead. And that's what makes IndyCar and oval so great, because you can't predict the finish. There's no other racing series in the world where you genuinely do not know the outcome until that checker flag is flown.
And really, with 2 laps to go, Christian Rasmussen was still wiggling.
It was scary. It was scary. I was holding my breath. I do want to ring my own horn here with when the group. Remember, back with about 40 laps to go, I think I texted. I said, if there is a caution, will the back end of the pack come in and get fresh tires? And no sooner than I said that, than it happened. And so I pat myself on the back on that one.
Yeah, for sure. You saw it coming. And really only one of the drivers who did that was able to make up a ton of places there at the end. The other drivers who were dominant all the rest of the day. But let's, Michelle, get back to Alex Palou. Ovals are not his specialty. He's not like some weekends on road courses. We go into it thinking Palou versus the entire field. That's not going to be the case at Nashville, but he has to be the favorite, right?
Well, I think he's got to be, because I think for one thing with Palou, and he may have pushed it maybe even today had this been the final race and maybe a little bit more, but he's just a consummate professional driver. He takes care of his cars and everything else too, and next week. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And Luck, I will say this, I think, the great thing is the 10 team is really great and really good. We've said that a long time, and I know, Greg, you tweeted which is the best all-time team points, 14 or Penske 4 or Ganassi 10. And right now I have to go back and look, but I'm thinking Ganassi 10.
For the Ganassi 9, but that's been all Scott Dixon, and he has only won 500. That 10 has now won the 500 with 3 different drivers. So.
Because I'm going to guess they're going to spend this week, and they will talk different scenarios because they learn, and they're going to say, oh, if we're in the same situation next week, are we going to, they'll have a strategy board. They may come in and pit too because they're so good on pit lane. I was actually kind of shocked that the only 3 drivers that stayed out were, I think, that last one on the lead lap are the top 3, and which that didn't really leave too many cars between, with 2 cars between him and the guys on fresh tires. So let's talk real quick too about, I just want to give a shout out to Ed Carpenter Racing because not only did Rasmussen win, but Rossi got a top 5 finish. He was 4th, right?
Yeah,
that was a really good strategy.
It was a really good race strategy-wise, and for them to be able to maintain that and seeing ECR have 2 top 5s is exactly what you want. I think they've kind of taken that role that AJ Foyt was in the beginning of the season because ECR has been on a pretty consistent stretch of some decent finishes. If they're able to really get their stuff together going into 2026 and beyond, IndyCar is just going to be better because it has one more team that can step up.
Michelle, a big team really needs to step up and sign Connor Daly just for the fact that on ovals, he's so good. If he's in a good car, he's the best oval driver out there. The restarts are just spectacular.
Oh, yes, they are. I would love to see Connor Daly get a ride on with a big team with, really great cars because I think he is a very talented and exciting young driver.
I think the pre-race interview was great with Connor where he and Rasmussen kind of buried the hatchet, it sounded like.
Elijah, it's not like Connor and Santino Ferrucci. I think they really don't like each other.
I listened to the Speed Street podcast with Connor Daly, who's the host, and he brought up a good point. And he brought up a good point where in IndyCar, you have to go meet with these other drivers and you have to kind of squash that beef because the impacts in these cars can be so dangerous. And I think it's great for the sport as a whole.
Beef is also good.
Yeah, beef is great, especially racing beef. But at the end of the day, you're going to have that safety aspect in it because if you have another crash like Connor did last weekend, or I guess it was 2 weekends ago at Portland, things can end pretty nasty.
Yeah, that can't happen.
I love the ovals. I was talking to a friend of mine weeks ago and said, I don't know why Fox doesn't go earlier. We know they don't go later into September because of college and the NFL, football. But, I mean.
They don't have enough warm weather track.
Oh, you got Phoenix, you've got Texas. I mean, some ovals, you could go down south.
Yeah, but they're not racing in those places.
But why not? They have before. They should.
I know.
And there's 3 tracks right there that are ovals. It would be great 3-oval race, great races to add in the spring.
Perfect. Homestead, Mexico City. There are all kinds of things that they can do. Oh, Austin. All kinds of things they can do that they're not doing.
It needs to be done. I've even heard rumors that maybe going back to Pocono might be in the cards.
That'd be great,
but there's
that's
also
not going to help build the schedule at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but we also there's some interesting
in February.
There's some interesting talks going on right now, actually. The F1 Netherlands Grand Prix is at Zandvoort, and they're actually looking to take that track off the map. And I think it was the track president or CEO came out and said they've been in talks with IndyCar and NASCAR. So seeing IndyCar potentially even go overseas is so big for the sport.
That would be so great, Dave.
It would. The problem there, of course, is money, sponsorship. These guys, it seems like they have unlimited resources, but they do have limited resources. Going overseas would be really expensive.
That's the issue.
Yeah, that's what
I think they can get it done on the transportation side. That would probably be the hardest part. But if Formula One is potentially leaving that track as a whole, and that track, it probably pays Formula One to use their facility, or I bet it's
way more than it would IndyCar.
If Formula One is gone, IndyCar is the next best show in town. I don't see why they would do anything to maybe hurt the series, unlike some of the NASCAR tracks do here in the States. It would definitely be interesting, and they definitely need to get down to Mexico City for sure.
Mexico City, I totally agree with. That would be fantastic.
The European fans wouldn't know how to react to actual competitive racing.
Yeah.
Here are the results from the Snap-on Milwaukee Mile 250 on Sunday. Christian Rasmussen led the final 16 laps, the only laps he led to win his first race of his IndyCar career and be the second Dane ever to win an IndyCar race. The other being Christian Lundgaard, who was the last first-time winner, and that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
Christian was awesome today. He raced hard all day. It was good that Fox showed a lot of him when he was battling for 5th, 6th, and 7th place, because they said he is just driving so hard. And there was more than once, many times, including the last 2 laps, where that car was shaking. He just drove the wheels off. Good for him.
I don't want to complain too much about Fox's coverage because it's been pretty darn good lately. But I want to point out that at one point, there was a women's European soccer game that they pushed back the start of the IndyCar race because they had to do the post game for the women's European soccer game. But today, when there was golf in the middle of their rounds, they went immediately to the golf. And I think that's pretty shitty.
I would have really loved to have heard Alex Palou interview. I really loved to have heard Alexander Rossi's interview. And yes, I would have just liked to have heard that. And Palou, just give Palou a little credit. He drove clean. He drove very clean when Rasmussen came at him.
Yes, he did. He always does.
Maybe this might be just me being a glass half full guy, but I also maybe look at that as a positive that it ran long. I'm interested to see if there's any more viewers, and maybe that's potentially even more people who are going to tune in to IndyCar in the future because that end was just so strong.
Good point.
As Dave mentioned, Alex Palou was second. He led 199 laps and dominated most of the day. Scott McLaughlin was third. The top Team Penske driver, they were pretty good today.
Yeah, Scotty Mack was unbelievable. And I think it's kind of funny just because we've gotten used to how consistent Scott McLaughlin is that we didn't even really talk about him on this podcast today because it's not out of the norm to see Scotty Mack always up near the top on these ovals. He is just one of the best drivers on this grid. And it's a shame he's gotten unlucky so many times this season, some of those also being his fault, but day in and day out, he's one of the best on the grid.
I mean, he's a McLaughlin. He's the best. Alexander Rossi finished fourth.
When he came in early in the race, laps in the 40s. And I questioned it at first. I thought, he's definitely going to go on a 4-stop. But as soon as you saw the tire degradation on the other cars, I thought This was a really good move by Ed Carpenter. And it put Rossi, like you said, he just jumped a bunch of cars and was in contention, and he drove well all day. He was fighting for position all day long.
I think this move for Rossi continues to look better and better as the season goes on. I know they obviously started with some struggles, but as of late, the last 3-4 races, he's been so consistent. And, this is only year one of this deal he's got with ECR. So I'm super interested to see where this can go next year as well.
Really happy to see the Carpenter team rebound, because there was a time during this season I thought that team might be done, and they've really rebounded well. Arrow McLaren had the 5th and 6th place drivers, Pato O'Ward and Christian Lundgaard. Neither one of them, Dave, were a contender today, but both were consistently near the top.
They were near the top. They played good strategy. They did the right things, but I don't think they had the pace that the cars in front of them did. I think they probably had 5th and 6th place cars, and they got 5th and 6th place. And sometimes you do the best you can do. And 5th and 6th is not a bad day, especially taking into consideration the day they had 2 weeks ago. It's a good day for Arrow McLaren.
And 2 Danes in the top 6. Love that. Dave, Joseph Newgarden did have the pace all day, but he had a little bit of bad luck again at the end, and I'm sure, Elijah, he's off crying somewhere.
It's unfortunate. And I would be interested to see what his race would have turned out if he didn't have that little incident with Rasmussen. I'm surprised he was able to save that, honestly.
Yeah.
But 7th place for Joseph Newgarden in 2025, hate to say it, that is a good day for him.
Yes, it is.
I think the incident there, it was minor, and it was just racing. They were both racing at the end. I don't think anybody did anything wrong. It's just that he got a little sideways, and I'll give him hats off to him for saving that car, because he saved a big one.
David Malukas was really good early in the race and led 25 laps, finished 8th.
Yeah, and bad luck at the pit stop. He battled back.
He definitely had a good
go. Yeah.
His car was really good. He's going to need tires wore down, though. And that might be where he's not quite as experienced on that, or as good at taking care of tires somewhat early as, say, Alex Palou.
Scott Dixon was 9th, and Marcus Armstrong finished 10th. And there was a point where I think it was Townsend Bell said he was going to finish last because of a bad strategy move. And, man, what a rebound for him and Meyer Shank.
Well, he also had advantage of a yellow came out for it that really helped him later. But yeah, we were all scratching our heads like, what is he doing? Because he cannot stretch that out enough to just have one pit stop in between. So good for him. Good for him. Scott Dixon was Scott Dixon. Stayed out of trouble. Raced well. I hate to say every week, I say, well, Scott Dixon was Scott Dixon. But that's the best way to describe it.
Colton Herta finished 11th. Nice job by him moving up throughout the race.
Being in 11th and 12th for Andretti isn't a good day by any means, but those cars were really consistent throughout the day. And Colton, that's a fantastic start, moving up 15 positions.
And Kyle Kirkwood was 12th, as Elijah mentioned there. Andretti 11th and 12th. Connor Daly, a disappointing finish after being near the top most of the day. When I asked you, Elijah, what to watch for, my answer was Connor Daly on the start and restarts. He was fantastic on the start and restarts, but he just did not have the pace of the other cars.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, that car had some pretty decent qualifying pace starting up in 9th, but to see him fall down to 13th from that starting position, even though he had some great moments, it's still a little bit of a disappointment for Connor.
And his best friend, Santino Ferrucci, finished 14th. Rinus VeeKay, again, top 15. Not a great result, but just consistently on the lead lap every race.
He is consistent, and that bodes well for him, bodes well for his future. Back to Ferrucci, I just really I know he's kind of a crazy man out there, but I really like him. I really like him, and I'm glad he's with Foyt Racing. And I think that's a good marriage, the same as the Rasmussen and Rossi is with Ed Carpenter.
That's a good point.
The final car on the lead lap was Devlin D. Francesco. The first car a lap down was Louis Foster, both of Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. I think they were better today than the final result showed.
They definitely were. Definitely had some really, really great moments of racecraft there in the race. And not a horrible result for Devlin. Started in 15th, finished right around where he started. Isn't the best, but any points for that RLL, maybe get inside that leader circle, points-wise is big for them.
Robert Schwartzman was 18th. And coming into this year, guys, we thought Marcus Ericsson with Andretti Racing might be a really good matchup. It just hasn't.
It has not gelled for whatever reason.
It's honestly a little bit shocking to see him essentially nowhere for this whole season because he was such a great driver at Ganassi in those recent years.
Speaking of which, Kiffin Simpson of Ganassi Racing, and you give him some leeway because he's so young, but just not getting the results in a Ganassi.
He's not, but he's young. I think he'll still be back next year. I don't think there'll be any problem with that. He'll still be the third member of that team.
And he's had some really great moments this year, just hasn't been able to piece it together.
By the way, everybody, we have lost Michelle. I just sent her a text hoping she'll come back, but her connection was not very good, and she's not been feeling very well. So, Louisville's own Jacob Abel was 21st. Felix Rosenquist had a miserable weekend, was 22nd. Stingray Robb, 3rd. And again, we talked about Ray Hall Letterman. Graham Rahal was up in the mix for a lot of the day and ended up 20. Callum Ilott was 25th. Will Power, just again, bad luck. He looked like he was going to be a contender. And Nolan Siegel, rough day.
I feel sorry for Nolan Siegel. He's a young kid. He's 20 years old. He's going to be a good racer. He's that was, and he said when in the interview, I feel like an idiot, and it's all on him. And I'm glad he admitted that. But he'll be all right. I hope he keeps his job.
I think this year, I think we're all kind of fine because we know he is so young by giving him that pass. And I'm right along with that as well. He's had some good moments this year, but I think next year there's really going to be a little bit more of a microscope on him because he hasn't had the best season in 2025.
Big year for Siegel and Simpson next year.
Yes.
They're on teams that are too good not to be producing results, no matter how young and how inexperienced you are. So we've done this 17 times now. One more to go, and it's next week in Nashville. And I know, Dave, you are going to be there. And if the previous ovals and short ovals are any indication, you are going to see a great one.
I think this will be a great race. It is a great venue. I love the place. I loved it last year. My granddaughter has secured passes for us down in the pits on Saturday. So we're going to get to rub noses with some celebrities and see the race on Sunday. And I am pumped.
Sorry.
That sounds like a perfect weekend.
Midweek, and Dave, you're always welcome to join us. We will have the IndyCar report with Elijah Poe. Then after qualifying on Saturday, we will recap the qualifying and preview the race in Nashville. And after the race, we will be back here, probably not with Dave, although we'll probably might get a drop in from him to get a report from live in person. Either way, Elijah and I will be here, probably Michelle. And thank you guys so much. It's always fun.
Always.
Thanks so much to Dave and Michelle and Elijah for joining me. Please share this podcast with the IndyCar fans in your life. And the Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.